I'm Don Melillo, and I live in Westchester, Ohio, and quite honestly, I'm retired now. My journey into liver disease actually started a little over 8 years ago. In the fall of 2011, I was diagnosed with cancer of the liver. But during that journey, I worked for a long time for M&M's, but I retired because I felt so good and wanted to enjoy my grandkids. We have 5 grandsons, and I love every minute that I have with them. And right now, my major hobby is retirement, and enjoy that a lot. Lately, with COVID, my wife and I have been kind of held up at the house, but so we don't do a lot, especially since I had a transplant. Being an immune system that's compromised, I have to be very careful. One of my major hobbies is hydroplane racing, and I officiate that. Been all over the United States and world, actually, uh, doing events. Last summer, unfortunately, this past summer, we didn't have any, but because of COVID. But hopefully, next summer we'll see that. Back in the fall of 2011, I was having a lot of stomach issues, and my GI doctor, who was very persistent and wouldn't give up, finally said, I don't know what's wrong. I've ruled out everything I can think of. I'm going to talk to some other doctors. And he consulted with a few others, and they said, let's do some scans. And in the scans and tests that they followed up with me on, in February of 2012, I was found to have cancer of the liver. So my only option was to have a complete transplant. Finally, in July of 2012, I was put on the transplant list, waiting for that call. And I did receive the call in October of that year. I think the biggest thing that I went through was just the unknown, dealing with the unknown. It was at times very lonely. I guess until you have a problem with the liver, you don't realize how important the liver is. And I was having to go weekly for a paracentesis because I would have so much liquid built up. I would have at least 8 to 9 liters of fluid taken off of me every week. And I did it on Fridays so that at least over the weekend I would feel well, and then Monday it would all start again because I didn't have as much, I wouldn't say pain, but it was an uncomfortable feeling. I couldn't really, I was very tired. I was always cold. The other thing that it does is mess with your thought process. But the biggest thing that I always believed that I had to stay positive. Then I'd wake up every day and uh, look at it that it was kind of like a poker game. It wasn't the cards that I wanted to get dealt, but it was the hand that I had, and I had to play it. And that's what I did. My takeaway from all of this is that I was still here. I still had a purpose in life. And I found that that purpose in life is helping other people. I've been fortunate that my involvement with I'm very involved with Donate Life. I had the opportunity. I used to speak to a lot of high school students about transplant. I used to talk. We were just getting ready before COVID hit to possibly do some speaking in the schools about liver disease. But I think the biggest thing was just learning about the American Liver Foundation and the resources available. And I'll give you a crazy little story, but I don't go anywhere without my Donate Life pin and a person on a cruise, because my wife and I love to go cruising. And unfortunately, we can't do that right now. But on this one cruise, this person sees my pin and he starts asking me about it. And I told him what it was all about. And he goes, "Well, my sister-in-law may need a liver transplant. Would you talk to her?" So I started a conversation with a lady in Cleveland, Ohio, which is about 4 hours from where I live. And she actually ended up having just they partitioned the bad part of her liver off, and but I put her in touch with people up there with a support group. Told her about the resources of ALF, and it's things like that that I think is now why I'm here, and that's what I try to do. And I'll spend as much time talking about helping someone else or how I can help them. I just try to do whatever I can. I was not aware of American Liver Foundation until about 3 years ago. And a couple friends that had actually liver transplant or waiting for liver transplant told me about this liver walk that I always knew about that happened in Cincinnati, but never was involved. And they wanted to get me involved with it, so I did. And from that time forward, I started to learn, and I saw all the resources available to liver disease patients. And so I got involved with the liver walk. From there, I was asked to be on the first advisory committee that Cincinnati had for the American Liver Foundation. Became very involved with that, and ever since I've been, on a journey with Elf along my side. And I think, as I said to people, that the resources available with the American Liver Foundation uh, is great. And so we try to make that available down at University of Cincinnati. When they went through, as everyone knows, the reorg this year, I literally made it I guess, job or purpose in my life to keep the organization together down here, because we made some changes, but because of the value that I saw in ALF, I wanted to keep things alive with us here. And so we have. I think when I first was diagnosed, I didn't tell anybody about it. I guess because I was scared. I didn't know much about it, my disease at the time. And I think the biggest problem all of us have with liver disease is the stereotyped opinion people get. Oh, you have liver disease, and what may have caused it. And I think at first I was afraid to tell people I had liver disease because they would, oh, well, he was a real partier. And it's that stigma that I think we have to overcome. And I will tell people that you don't have to be, let's say, a drinker to have liver disease. And there's a lot of types of liver disease people don't know about. But since I've gone through this, I found all kinds of different people that have different liver diseases, but there's still a stigma involved with when you tell people you have liver disease. Number one, I love to tell them about all the resources available with American Liver Foundation. The webinars that are available are wonderful. Uh, the other thing is to stay positive. Ask his or her doctor as many questions as you can think of. No question is too little or out of the realm. But don't be afraid to seek help, and don't be afraid to ask. And the other thing is, look for support. And there's people like me that are out there that'll help you get through it. I when I speak to the transplant class at University of Cincinnati, and when I do, one of the things I tell them is I walked in your shoes, and someday you're going to walk in mine. And that's, I think, the biggest thing that I love to tell people is that, we'll get through this together, and I'll be there to help you if you need help. Life is a journey filled with lessons. And these lessons, we have hardships, we have heartbreaks, we have joys, we have celebrations, but they ultimately will lead you to your life's journey. And I embrace that. I tried to take something that was negative and turn it into a positive. And through everything I've been through, I believe that life has taught me that I can give back a lot, and that's what I've tried to do. And I just, whenever I can, I try to help other people.